them from bringing it up as often, if not.
She's very eager to get married, my girl, and she can't figure out why I'm not, and this is because marriage is much better for women. Like from the beginning onward. It literally starts with a man getting on his knees begging you. Please, spend the rest of your life with ugly, stupid me.
Marriage does not provide security for a man. I mean, we live in this dream world. The idea that if you marry somebody, that's it, they're devoted to you. You know, they don't have to get married to be devoted to you. They can be devoted to you without getting married. Why do they need to get married to be devoted to you? Does that mean that before you marry somebody and you're dating them, that they're actually banging other people right up until your wedding night? Is that the deal? I want to know. I mean, what's in it for me to sign a contract with you? Are you telling me you're going to keep effing other guys until the day we get married? Are you telling me that that's a guarantee once we sign that contract that you won't do it again? There's not even any financial penalty if you don't live up to the agreement. If I marry you and agree to give you half of everything I have, you can then go F my father, my brother, my best friend, whoever, your boss. And then when I find out, you can say, F you, I'm going to take everything you've got.
I think with the way the laws are set up today, it's just not favorable for men. I would be a fool to get married. And then guys say, well, you got a prenup. Well, now I got to sit up here and try to convince the judge that she didn't sign under duress. And it's just not worth it to me. Oprah is never getting married. These women understand that it's some other ones too. I think off the top of my head, but it's been some other real rich women that they're smart enough. They're not ever getting married. And so, with the way laws are now, I just think it has nothing to do with being with one woman or nothing like this. I understand most of my audience, and I point this out, is purple pill guys, and that's guys who don't understand female nature, but they're willing to get into a relationship anyway. And they ask me about marriage, and I just say, with me, it's just not worth the chance.
This new phenomenon has changed the dance between men and women, with feminism pushing them out of their traditional role of breadwinner, protector, and provider, and divorce laws increasingly creating a dangerously precarious financial prospect for men to cut loose from marriage. Men are simply no longer finding any benefit to it, and we've said this many times. Until the laws change, no way, no way. You're signing up for basically jumping out of an airplane with a 60% chance your parachute won't open, and if it does, you're still going to lose half your crap.
Take a look at this list. This is a list of men that you may know. These aren't your neighbors. These are men that you may know who had wealth, status. They were over 6 feet tall, majority of them.
Now here's a chance to get at the opposition.
They had seemingly it all. And they still weren't able to satisfy the woman in their life. You got Michael Jordan, Tom Cruise twice, Johnny Depp, who was the sexiest man alive at one particular point. Nicolas Cage, divorce, going on number 4. And he himself said, this isn't even a fourth of the list. This is the list that I just came up with 20 minutes before I got on here. Paul McCartney, he got drugged by a lady with one leg. Drug.
So the way family law has kind of progressed and evolved over time is it's turned into a scenario where it's very, very high risk and low reward for men. And the opposite, again, that's one of the complaints guys have too, is the sexless marriage. It's like that's partially to blame on men's shoulders, but also women. I'm not going to deal with that. But family law has actually gotten to the point realistically where it's very, very high risk for men but low reward, and low risk but high reward for women, especially if they want to end it. And something like 8 out of 10 8 out of 10 divorces are initiated by women, not men, in fact. And we know that about half of divorces end. So if you get into a matrimonial scenario that, and it doesn't even have to be marriage, it can be common law. You know, if you live together long enough in many parts of the Western world, the state deems it a common law marriage. So they view it basically on the books as a marriage, and they'll treat it as such if you break up.
And the first thing of this, first he said relationships are designed to please women, right? And second he says, I don't want to be responsible for anybody else's happiness. So when you think about it, right? When a brother says relationships are designed to please women, when you think about it, you know, from the moment a man meets a woman, you know, they go to this quote-unquote courting stage, right, where you're taking her out to dinners and movies and concerts. It's the majority about the women. You know, once a man says, you know what, I want this woman to be in my life forever. Now this man has to go spend, 4.5 months' salary on a ring. He has to propose. He has to have this big event, sponsor this wedding, this honeymoon. It's still about the woman, right? And then when you look at a man, trying to have a family and get the home and have his wife in a nice car and all this stuff, even at this point, it's still about the woman.
And I want you guys to understand that when your family shames you, I want you to tell them this one thing, all right? And this one thing will stop them from ever bringing up marriage, ever bringing up relationships. This one thing will prevent them from bringing it up as often. If not, in general, they'll stop completely once you tell them this one thing. What I want you guys to tell them is, will you pay for my divorce when it happens? That's all you have to say. That simple sentence, that simple question. Will you pay for my divorce when it happens? And I can guarantee you, those people, those family members, maybe those friends, anyone that has shamed you in the past for living the life that you want to live, adopting this new philosophy and this new lifestyle, they'll shut up instantly.
Don't get married. Why the fuck would you get married? These women are promiscuous, dude. It's in their it is in their nature to not be monogamous. So what if you love that bitch? That bitch doesn't love you. She doesn't love you the way you love her. Women are opportunists, and men are idealists. Women are emotions. Men are logical. That bitch don't love you. You don't make that bitch arouse. She ain't gonna never tell you that because you Mr. Provider. She got somewhere to lay her head at. She ain't gonna never tell you that you don't make her pussy wet. Never. Never, ever. Never. She's never gonna tell you that.
Fair challenge falls out for a throw, though.
Why? Because that's just how women are. Women are majority of women are promiscuous. And that's just the bottom line. Why in the fuck would you ever take women serious in today's age? If you take women serious in today's age, you is just blue pill in a mother.
You don't have to be here, man. You don't have to.
Oh, no, I'm about to leave, but really quick. So your advice to men is to tell women to...
Perfectly for him. Couldn't miss from there.
Again.
Kevin, that was not nice.
Whoa, why was that not nice? She was being
That's how you have to do it. That's how you have to do it. And I'm just really curious as to, since that video has happened, have you reached out to her to maybe just say anything like, I'm sorry that, it came across the way that it did, or, anything to her to just kind of say like, maybe my tone or maybe what I said or my frustration that you weren't respecting, what I was trying to do that night with my show led me to act the way that I did. Because when I saw it, I was stunned.
Well, you know what I find interesting? It's great to see, isn't it? A team like did you expect a man who was running a business when a woman who was an avid viewer of the show called in on an inappropriate day, and I did my level best to talk to this woman, irrespective of my platform. For 23 minutes, I tried to give her exactly what she wanted.
That's a wonderful tackle.
Hi, I'm James, founder of Ella & Co, a happiness and wellbeing company for dogs. This is Ella. The best thing you can do for your dog is to feed them the best possible diet. And for me, dry dog food just wasn't it. That is when I discovered raw feeding. I know what you're thinking. Maintaining a raw diet must be a huge hassle. And you're right, it is. This is why I created Ella's freeze-dry raw dog food. It has all the benefits of a raw diet, but none of the hassle. I made the switch and noticed immediate visible effects. Brighter eyes, shinier coats, fewer stomach.
So, and no, has she called me to say, you know what, sir, I'm sorry for calling you on the wrong day. I know I should have done that. I'm sorry for not paying attention, picking up my phone, doing that. I'm sorry for laughing and acting inappropriate. See, but that's the way the conversation's always been. It's always on the black man to bend over backwards and come back to queen black woman and beg for your forgiveness. It ain't gonna happen. I said what I meant, and I meant what I said. That's why it's up.
Okay, and that's fine. Okay, so you didn't. So my thing is,
I didn't, nor should I. I didn't, and I don't, and nor should I have been expected.
Okay, and that's fine. That's your it's your show, it's your decision. But this is the other thing. If you are because I'm on television as well, and if you have your own show and somebody is doing something that you find disrespectful to your show, just like you hung up on me, you could have hung up on her. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't even have to continue having the conversation.
Please don't tell me what I should or should not do.
I didn't say you. I said you could have.
Rochelle, I could have done a lot of things, but I did what I did.
Yeah, I know you did. I'm just saying.
Okay, but here's the thing. You're just saying, but here's the thing. I find it very rich. We are always telling men what we should do. They told Kevin Kelly what he should do in his restaurant, too. He put $1 million plus into a business during the pandemic to employ black people. And because he said, get the fuck out, I don't need your money, they wanted to cancel the brother. 82% of men say there are no marriageable women on the market. When are you ladies going to start listening to men instead of telling us what we should do?
Exactly. I didn't say, okay.
Yes, you have.
I did not say I didn't say you had to do that, but what I'm saying is,
why would you think it's on my, why would you think it's on me to reach out to this woman and call her? She is not informed.
We moved past that, Kevin.
Hold on, no. But the thing is, hold on. But my question is, I didn't ask you a follow-up. Why would I need to follow up with a middle-aged entrepreneur, 35-year-old business owner, mother of one, to coddle her feelings like she's a wounded little bird?
That's not what I said. I asked you if you did. I didn't say that you should have. I didn't say that you needed to. I just asked you a question. That's it. You didn't do it. Okay, moving on. I never said you needed to do anything. I just asked you.
But you asked a question for a reason. Okay. And the thing is, if I were Gordon Ramsay, if I were Simon Cowell, I wouldn't be asked, well, did you really have to be the way when you told that person they're a ghastly singer, did you send them a message and say, I shouldn't have said it?
Simon Cowell is a narcissist and an asshole, too. So, I mean, there's no difference between them two.
Oh, okay, two. Interesting, two.
I don't think she was a 5 either.
But my question is, when did it become so most people are average or normal?
You know, I feel like, okay, so you told her she was average at best. So I was not offended by that.
What does that mean? Let me explain what average at best means. When you are a 5 when you wake up, that means most of the times you are average. At best, you are a 6. So over your lifetime, you're average at best. And we're only getting old. Gravity is only taking more of effect. We know how this works.
Okay, so aside from that, I think what Rochelle is referring to is like, and what you said is you called her broad. You told her to get the F off of your phone. You know, I think, you said men don't need to speak to women as women. Then what should they speak to them as? Like how?
No, speak to men. No, we don't need to speak to women like we're women.
Oh, like you're women. Okay, I understand. But the thing is, like, it was your delivery. If that's how you decide to deliver things, it's okay. Everybody has their way.
No, actually, really, let's be honest. Really, it isn't. Really, it's not okay. It's not okay, or else it wouldn't be such a backlash.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think part of the reason you do that is because it draws. You know, it draws attention too. No. See. We don't ask men questions. We tell them what we do. You tell me what I do. You have a chance to ask me any question you want, and you're telling me about it. Okay, so why do you do that then? Like, why did you speak to her that way?
Because it was deserved at that point. Did you watch the entire 23-minute video?
Hold up, I'm sorry.
Don't, please don't. Was that Rochelle?
Watching her.
Yes, it was Rochelle, but...
No, that's not gonna work, ma'am.
Okay,
you don't have to be here. You don't have to.
Oh no, I'm about to leave, but really quick. So your advice to men is to tell women.
Again.
Kevin, that was not nice.
Whoa, why was that not nice? She was being rude.
That's how you have to do it. That's how you have to do it.
Stop. That is what the black community is used to. One-way aggression. You're used to women being able to be verbally aggressive and abusive to men, and we're just supposed to take it. I won't.
Was that woman? So the reason why
Ma'am, let me also say this. That woman is a professional. You know how to conduct yourself, but see, the thing is, black men are men not. There is a low-level contempt and lack of respect for the overall black male image. So when black men finally respond, you question us as to why we responded. Well, I tell you what, if Isaac and I were dialoguing back and forth, we would have to understand that there's a line that we don't cross because there's a low-level threat of violence between men. Between a man and a woman, you guys have no consequences. You're completely protected to where you can see a woman who's 5 foot something, 100 and something, call 6 foot, 300 pounds, you punk motherfucker piece of shit, nigga. And that has an effect. Men are not doing this anymore. You want to be respected? I have hundreds of hours of me speaking to women with respect because it was given. I mirror back what I get. You're not submitted to it. Okay. Our relationships today, who's submitting to who? You can't even say the word submit to a sister. You're not gonna, you're supposed to, so what are you submitted to? We got a 50, what's the divorce rate in the black community? It's higher than the national average, but 8 out of 10 divorces are filed by women. Even if you say half of the divorces are filed for the worst parts of the Bible, adultery, this, that, fully half. Women are walking away from men that do not deserve to have the title of husband or have a wife. That still gives us 4 out of 10. Being filed. We have to look at what's going on with women today. We've always asked what's going on with the men until we start to have an unflinching look at where women are today in relation to what, and women ask what men want. Because men want one simple thing across the board. They simply want cooperation. And if the rank and file man feels like he can't get cooperation, that's what's going to lead to 82% of men saying that they don't believe women are out here to be marriageable. And we can sit back and call the men and question the men, and that's the typical stuff to tell the men and give the men new tools to use and de-escalate. But what we never do is we never go to the women and say, hey, how about you just don't come in here with all that? How about you get some therapy and talk through and figure out what's going on with you, the reason why you feel like you need to move through the world that way.
Ready to listen to everything you guys have to say, but if we could definitely acknowledge that, then, yeah.
Let
me also say something, because many people aren't familiar with the content I made previously for men. I openly tell guys, look, I don't want to hear about your problems. The world does not owe you understanding. Beauty costs. You want a beautiful woman, a fit woman, you want her to be all these things, then you better pay the cost to be the boss. I don't do this 50-50 shit. I tell a man that you need to be working 60 hours a week minimum, but you're getting paid for it. Not get off internet, get off Instagram, get out of these spaces, go get a job. I don't care if you got to clean toilets. I have. Go get a job at the convenience store. Do it. Check your pride. You shouldn't have pride and empty pockets. Because I think there's a big problem, because so many of our women, I was raised by a single mother, and my father wasn't around too. I get it. And many men were not raised to be the masculine, strong men that you're starting to hear so many men step into. We're all broken. The black community, we all, so I say we all need therapy. And I like to hear when I hear women say that they're trying to get their shit together, men are trying to get their stuff together, because then we can approach each other with some grace, some empathy. I understand that, you know, we're better together than apart. But I am very tough on guys, because at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to build your nest. There is a reason so many women cannot feel comfortable resting in their femininity, because so many men have dropped the ball. I have. I'm not perfect, and I never try to make myself seem like I'm perfect. You've been divorced twice. That's right, but that doesn't mean your marriage can't work once. And that's what I'm ultimately getting to. We have to get past the messenger and who said what and try to get to the greater outcome. How do we start making more healthy black couples? Because this is some bullshit. 50 years, marriages violence in 2019 were a 50-year high. Divorces were a 50-year low. Black men has a $1.1 trillion spending power, and people get rich off of us because we are not together. And we have people on all sides of the arguments. That's why what I've done with this newfound spotlight is reach out and say, where are the counselors, the therapists, the relationship coaches, the matchmakers, all the resources. All right, let's start putting together infrastructure for a black network of people so we can actually start getting our resources, ourselves together, so we can find one another. So when a woman meets a man, she can actually come in with her guard down a little bit, because she can really say, well, I know there are men out here trying to do something other than just hit and quit. I'm an image consultant, and I have taken a lot of heat from black men for telling take that damn t-shirt off at 40 years old, pull up the damn pants, dress like a damn man. Well, you can't see that. But that thing is, they can't see it because our ethnic image is shit, and that's our responsibility. Black women have black media. Black men have to make black media for black men, by black men, to repair our own image. It's not their responsibility to give us Essence, Ebony, Matter Noir, or any of these other platforms. Black women check for themselves. They will make a platform to benefit themselves. As black men who have to come out of their pocket and support black male content for black men, by black men, promoting something better. We were given gangster rap and hip hop. I was in college when 1 minute we had X Plan, next minute we had bitches ain't shit. I saw this stuff. I've been talking about this since 1989, so like I said, at the end of the day, I know where I stand in this thing. It ain't about me. I ain't trying to make it about me. We don't have black family. We don't need reparations in this net. Without black family, you can't have black nothing. And I'll say this, and I've said it again. Anybody who knows me will tell you that I think it's a travesty that so many Generation X black men and black women in particular, we were lied to. I know some thorough, professional, beautiful women who there's no way God's green earth, there's no way in hell these women should be unmarried. No children. I also know men, there's no way in hell they should be unmarried. But we are. We are. We're unmarried, uncoupled, that don't know how to do it. We got to figure it out. Okay, the median earning of black men in this country is $41,054. That's median earning for black men. All other men, well, this is white men, 52,400. Okay. 13% of black men make $75,000 or more. That's just 75. When you're taking over $100,000 comes down to 8%. So it's numerically daunting just by the numbers. Then when you start adjusting for age, geography, sexual orientation, marital status, and what Habez is saying is what I said. The problem is women have been told you can have it all, and you cannot. Life is about choices and trade-offs. And that's what I'm ultimately trying to get in the conversation. Women starting to understand that men that you want things. They have preferences. They have standards. And this whole video is showing me that this is really new news to so many black women. That it is mind-blowing and mind-boggling, so much so that they wanted to attack the messenger because the message just sounded like an outright lie. But what you're starting to see is it's the truth.
On to the attack now. He's given offside.
Yeah, he's playing on the shoulder, but just needs to hold his gun a touch. Yeah, he's having a little go at his teammate. He did want that pass earlier.
It's with Marco Asensio. Goretzka. In quickly. Pogba. Here's Isco. Taking on the defenders. Lukaku. Good block. They can't stop him. In with a chance. And that's the sign of a top-class play to score like...
This is a graph that I made. Tracks the sexual attractiveness of men and women by their ages. Starts from age 16. You can see women, they peak at 20, 21. Remember that video I did the other day of how most men want 20, 21? That's the peak of women's sexual attractiveness. And it only begins to decay. I've noticed how from the age 16 to 20, it just zooms right up. At age 20, it's at 100%. She's as hot as she will ever be. And after that, it's a slow fade. Okay? That's the point. It's a slow fade all the way to, at 44, she's, and after that, it's just a slow fade to nothingness. At 56, I mean, quite frankly, what guy wants to bang a 56-year-old woman? Please tell me, how many guys want to do that, huh?
As women get older, as they pass their expiration dates, suddenly less guys are offering them free stuff. Less guys are offering to do things for them. Less guys are paying attention to them. When I was a kid, I used to, like Jerry Seinfeld, I used to like to read the Superman comic books and watch the Superman TV show when I was a kid, the old reruns of Superman. And if you've ever watched Superman, you get that episode where Superman is faced with kryptonite and suddenly he loses his superpowers. That's what chicks are like after they hit the big 3-0, after they pass their expiration date. The superpowers they had all these years, suddenly guys don't drop everything and offer to do them favors. Suddenly, guys aren't giving them anything for free. Suddenly, guys aren't staring at them and hanging on their every word. Suddenly, they don't have their superpowers anymore. When you've exceeded your expiration date, when you've been on the carousel for 20, 30 years, when you've missed the opportunity, the gap, the window of where you had the advantage on the marketplace, you cashed it in, you avoided it, you dismissed, you divorced men. Why is the expectation for you to have, well, after 40, and this woman was after 50, to be honest with you. If she wasn't there, she's approaching it, she's knocking on the door. Why do you believe You're entitled, deserve. All right? A man should be coming after you, knocking down your door. You should just send smiles and winks, and they're just going to come running. This is delusion. It's delusional, so for me, it's a laugh.
Women mature sexually, are able to reproduce easiest under the age of 25. It's biological. It's just fact. It's the truth. Some women will subscribe to, what the media and TV and publications have been telling them, which is mostly lies. That you can settle down. Basically, you can have it all. So you have these women that have gone to university, they've got their professional careers, and they make six figures, and da-da-da-da, and they think that they've pushed the wall back into the 30s, but the truth of the matter is their SMV was highest in their early 20s when they were easily able to reproduce and have a higher sexual marketplace value. Men, it doesn't really change much until, the 40s. At which point it also declines. But men can have children, well into their 40s. They're sexually able to have children at that age without a hell of a lot of trouble. But for women, their ability to have children declines rapidly after the age of about 25. And after the age of about 40, it's pretty dangerous for them to try to carry a term of pregnancy.
No, this can't be real. This can't be real. There's no way. What happened to her? Jessica, what happened to you? Oh, man. Man, that's tough. That's tough. Wasn't she like, no, I could be completely wrong. Wasn't she like dating like Tony Romo or something? Or something happened. No, I don't know. I could be completely wrong on that. But dude, if that's true, he lucked out, bro. What happened, dude? She let herself go, man. Ay.
The dating scene, she says, is getting worse and worse. If I had known a few years ago that things would deteriorate to this level, I would have found me a good man and locked him down. I had no idea that Tinder would come out and swiftly create the demise of good old-fashioned romance. I hate this new dating world we live in. She says, I want nothing more than to destroy all dating apps and the awful way they've ruined interactions. When she says things would deteriorate, she didn't know things would deteriorate. She's talking about herself, right? She doesn't realize that she doesn't realize that she is talking about herself, because surely she's every bit as attractive at 34 as she was when she was 24. So the fact that she doesn't have as many options has nothing to do with her deterioration. Oh no, it's the sexual marketplace that's deteriorated. That's the problem. Guys, even though the wall comes fast for women and their attraction drops precipitously after they hit the wall, they're always they're always the last to know or acknowledge that they have indeed hit the wall.
I know a couple of women in their mid-30s that don't seem to want to believe this. They tell me the only guys that are looking at them are over 40, and they think it's gross. These same women spent their 20s jumping from one short-term relationship to another, and now they don't know what's happened. Things weren't supposed to be the way they are, and they never thought that they would be in this position. It's a shock for many of them that men are the ones choosing women instead of women choosing the men. The natural order of relationships has been flipped in favor of men, and it's hard for women to accept that they aren't being pursued like they once were, and that their choice of men has gone from the entire male side of the human race to a sliver of men that have physically been burned by women, or are players, or are men that understand the nature of the desperation of women in their 30s.
When a woman hits the wall, man, especially if you knew her, it's just great to watch the whole thing just fall apart. It's like watching a car drive down the road and then the tires start to just fall off the car, and slowly but surely that car just completely self-destructs. And the car has no idea what's going on, but the mechanic who designed the car knows exactly what's going on. The car will just keep driving until there's on one tire, and then it has no tires and it's just stuck. And I just think when women hit the wall, they don't even realize it, man.
is crazy. They have all this attention, all the advantages since they're basically born until they're around 30 years old, sometimes around 28. That's when it even stops.
It's funny how the tables turn. Fellas, we will always get the last laugh. We will always get the last laugh because that wall is undefeated. Yeah, she gonna get orbiters to the orbiters. The wall not undefeated to the orbiters. Yeah, the wall not undefeated to the hoverers. The guys who she suck, drive, they non-sexual attention and energy. But to the guys she really want to be with, that wall is defeated. She can't defeat it. Damn.
Cheating because, like what we talk about all the time on this channel, she can't afford to make herself seem like she's in a bad light. Women hold on to their virtue no matter what. They can't, even if she is the biggest slut, she can't tell you that. She has to let you think that she's not like every other woman out there, but she is.
Process of that relationship, I definitely realized that you can't find happiness outside of yourself. And luckily enough,
you guys catch that? Can't find happiness outside of yourself. Okay, I got that part, right? I mean, I talk about mental point of origin all the time. It's not, remember, mental point of origin is not so much about happiness, it's about decision making. I know people are going to start talking about that. Well, what about that? She can't find happiness. That's like, that right there is straight out of the book of Oprah. You have to find happiness yourself. You have to be, and really when I hear stuff like this, it still sounds like rationalization. It still sounds like I wanted to go do these things because I thought they would make me happy, and now I'm paying the price for them. Had I not been caught, maybe I wouldn't even be having this conversation. But that is exactly one of those social conventions that I talk about that is already in place and already established to help women rationalize decisions and do things that they wanted to do anyways.
Right, sure, Will was doing his thing, Jada's free to do her thing, right? Whether you married or not, if you're on a break and separated, hey, you do whatever you want to. The issue was, it was a guy that was cool with Will, cool with both of them. He should have been off limits. So if you want to go deal with this dude, deal with that dude, deal with them. Don't deal with a guy that I'm cool with, that we like part of the family almost, that's friends with me or cool with me. And that was the issue. The problem is, that's why she did it. In her head, she was getting some type of revenge on Will. As she stated in the video, she hadn't been happy in so long. Now, she don't want to say what all this unhappiness was. It could be anything, right? Probably Will been cheating or doing whatever. Who knows, right? I don't know. I don't even want to speculate. But for whatever reason, she felt unhappy in this relationship for a very long time. So in her head, spiteful as women, vindictive as they is, this is what they do. They seek out to sleep with somebody that's going to cause pain to you. Even if you don't know about it, it just makes her feel good.
Cheating is wrong on both ends. Period. But when she sleep with the homie, when the homie's in your face, smiling with you, when you're trying to heal your homies, mental clarity, the things that he's going through, when you're trying to heal him and make sure he's good, and he goes to dig your wife's guts out. She knew what she was doing. She said for 4 years they had a great relationship, a great friendship. She knew what she was doing. What's the this is staged or whatnot, we can all gain some insight on this situation. You can read her body language. You can read Will's body language. He said, oh, I'm going to get you back. And she said, oh, you already got me back. Not really. I did my dad. I had my little side piece, but I didn't go as close as you. So when Will laughed and said, nah, I'm going to get you back. His last words, when he did the sarcastic way. Like, I'm not playing. What I thought was, in my head was, yeah, all your friends that wanted me, that I turned down, never told you about, yeah, they finna get dug out.
Sure, that's really easy to say. Can you imagine being in a difficult place with your wife, and she's telling everybody else, well, we've basically broken up. But you might not know it, but apparently she felt that way. And instead of working through things with your husband during this difficult time, you just decided to step out on him. Brilliant. Jada said her relationship with August was initially about helping him, as he'd been very sick at the time. It all started with him just needing some help, me wanting to help his health, his mental state, she explained to her husband. Why? Why would you take up the mantle? Why would you take up the task of helping some other dude, especially when you're in a marriage? What is the point of that? This is why a lot of times, if you're in a relationship, it is not good to have friends of the opposite sex unless you're group friends, because you never quite know what can happen. I read stories all the time where things happen inappropriately between couples, husbands and wives and that kind of stuff.
And I said, what bothered me the most that no one's talking about is that August Alsina was introduced to her by her son, her biological son. And I said, this is a huge double standard. This is a huge revelation. Because if we compared it and said, well, let's just put the shoe on the other foot and say, what if Willow Smith, who was shaking her hair back and forth, and any one of these little Caitlins or Kellys or anybody that comes from her neighborhood, or some, let's say it's some 22-year-old R&B singer that hangs out with Willow Smith, if Willow Smith brought a young woman to daddy, and we found out Will Smith was banging around Willow Smith's friend, we wouldn't look at Will the same way we're looking at Jada today. And that's important to the story. No one's talking about that. If Willow Smith was bringing young, fresh, piping hot Peace Leave to Will Smith, the world would crumble right now, all right? It would be, people would be going insane. They would be calling Will a pedo. They would be calling him a young girl. They would throw him under the bus.
But when we talk about unbreakable, who ends up breaking these marriages? Who ends up breaking these families? Is it the men? No, you heard all the books about Stella getting her groove back and this and that, but when it comes right down to it, 80% of divorces in the black community are filed by black women. When you heard Will Smith tell Jada Pinkett Smith, I told you in the first year of our marriage, I could love you through anything. She said I didn't believe it. And she proceeded to test it. So much so that she went and preyed upon a young drug-addicted boy, her son's age. Now, let's just be real. If this story had been the other way around, Will Smith was preying on one of Willow's drug-addicted friends, they would be burning Will Smith in effigy.
It was something that Jada said in the video. She literally said that she has an addiction to codependency, meaning that she has an addiction to broken men. See, her ex-boyfriend, Tupac, was a neurotic person. And then she turns around and runs into somebody like August Alsina, and it fed that need without her even knowing it. See, Tupac was extremely neurotic. He was all over the place. One day he'll be talking about women keeping their head up and how much he loves black women, and then the next record he'll put out, it'll have something to do with him calling women bees and this and that, and how, blah, 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 blah. And then the same thing about men. He'll, do his I love black people, we need to stand up against white supremacy, and then the next record he comes out with, he's dissing literally every popular rapper out there.
Issues, then I have to think it might not be us. Usually the common denominator is the problem, and if the common denominator is you, then usually it's you that's the problem. But I will give her the benefit of the doubt and say current Western culture is not ideal for finding a mate. Now, if you want to be inconsistent and you want to ghost and you want to fall off the radar, that's fine, but I'm going to give you a pro tip. People like me and people like my friends, we aren't going to really give a shit after that. We don't really care. And you see what I'm talking about? That attitude of like, me and my friends, oh, we don't care. We're done. It's just so sour.
I find this attitude that she presents throughout this whole video, this attitude that my dating problems and my friends' dating problems are the problem of men, and that men are the problem, and that there are no good men. This attitude bothers the crap out of me for several reasons.
So despite what she would go on to say in her follow-up video, she kind of seems to be doubling down on the idea that just men are trash. And I will say that it's true. A lot of guys are trash, a lot of women are trash, or a lot of people are trash nowadays.
Yes.
Especially in regard to dating, so I'm not going to push back on that. But I think, you know, if you are someone, and this is not just an issue Tomi Lahren has, where you can't find anybody, at a certain point you need to step back and think, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Because there are good people out there who do want to date seriously, start a family and all that, and if you can't find any of them, you may be just looking in the wrong place or not putting out maybe the right message or the right signals.
I talked to my mom about this a lot, and she says, well, maybe it's just the guys in Texas. Maybe it's just the guys in Los Angeles. It is not just the guys in Los Angeles, Nashville, Dallas, and they're not any better in the Midwest. Quite frankly, I think they're trash all over this country.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately, too, and I talked to my mom about it, and she suggested that maybe it's the men who I'm attracting. Maybe it's the men I'm choosing. I love my mom, but she is so out of touch. It's not me, Mom. Men are trash everywhere in this country. Tomi said that we don't want you to just text us. We want you to take us out to dinner. We want to see you. We want to go on a hike. We want to have coffee with you. Make plans with us.
First, I find it really damaging when someone of influence is ranting about this and sort of spewing this rhetoric, because young girls do kind of see this, and I think this is really damaging to young girls and just women in general, because first of all, it's not true that all men are bad, and if you're having a perpetual problem dating, it's either the people you're choosing or you, or it's a combination of both. So that's my stance on it.
She's trying to compare basically how women view men to the same as how men view women. It doesn't work exactly that way. There are some men that are looking for successful women, but most men out there really don't give them about your success. They prefer a woman that knows how to be a woman that they can pretty much get along with, that they can tolerate for longer than 5 minutes without wanting to blow their heads off. Usually a woman that is easy on the eyes, feminine, that really matters. Men don't like masculine women. And if they know that they're successful and they're intelligent, they might have an attitude problem.
She goes on and says that men are trash. She uses that term quite a bit throughout the rant. And she also states that I am not a feminist. Don't take this as another feminist rant. I love men. I think men are great. I think men have failed themselves and they failed us, but I think they're great. I just want to help you out. So, I don't don't think you're helping men out. I think you're being a giant C.
Gosh, I mean, Tommy is just too genuine at this point. I mean, the fact that she took the time and effort to make a 15-minute video detailing how little she actually cares about men who don't seem to want to date her just proves how little she actually cares about men who don't seem to want to date her. All in all, can I just say how proud I am of Tomi Lahren for pushing through her internalized misogyny, ceasing to capitulate to the patriarchy, and finally joining the sisterhood. And seriously, can I just say as a side note to all the women watching this video, even though I'm sure Daisy Cousins' fan base is like 99.99% angry, straight, white, misogynistic MRAs, but, you know, whatever. To all the women who may be watching, remember, the sisterhood is always there for you. So long as you believe everything we believe, say only things that we agree with, and associate only with people that we approve of, we're like one big happy sorority.
You'll come in behind the kids, the cat, the dog, the extracurriculars, the parent-student nights. You're like 5th or 6th. You know, the tree that needs to get removed in the backyard sort of thing. You're not going to be a priority.
You're not the father. You're not the father. And therefore, because you are not the father, you do not have any of the rights of a father. You do not have the right to discipline and teach the child anything because you're not the father. See, you're the stepfather at best, okay? You're the stepfather, and what will happen is that you will see the kid acting in a way that the kid shouldn't, and what will you do? You'll try to correct the kid, and what will the single mother say? She will say, don't do that. I don't want you to do that.
You want to take care of another man's seed, bro? Real alphas build their own kingdom, my G. Why in the fuck would you want to take care of another man's kingdom? That's like wearing another nigga drawers. Don't you want your own fresh pair of drawers, bro? Don't you want to shit in your own shit? Don't you want to walk around naked in your own shit? Why would you want to go inside another man's shit and walk naked in his shit? That ain't your shit, nigga. You don't own that shit. Look at him. He looking at you like you dumb bitch. You wifing that bitch up, you dumb bitch. That's how he looking at your ass right now.
Okay, women decide who is going to get between their legs and who is not going to get between their legs. And believe me when I tell you, these single moms out there that now have deadbeat dads that they're dealing with and are raising their kid in a fatherless home, make no mistake about it, she is the one who chose that guy to have sex with, who made the horrendous decision to let this irresponsible guy blow his load inside her vagina and get pregnant and impregnate her. That was her decision, her bad decision, her poor choice.
So here's what it comes down to, man. If you a Henry, a Blue Henry or Blake Henry, and I understand it, women, you want a man who can pay the bills. You want a man who can help you with these kids. You want to. You made mistakes early on. This is what you hear too often. I was young. I made a mistake. I made an error. I was stupid. I was this. I feel you. I hear you. I get all of that. But I always say to the men and women, the world does not owe you or me understanding. What should you have to do to make up or correct for that error? You're bringing little humans with you. Each one of them is a $200,000 bill. And that's just average kids. Upper class kids, upper middle class, or lower upper class kids are more expensive.
You don't matter. You'll never matter as much as the children to them. You might feel or hear sound bites along the way. You might get love
lovely cards, you might get, handwritten notes, you might get flowers delivered to you. But at the end of the day, she will always choose her child over you 100% of the time. Now, as they should. I think a parent needs to take care of their child's best interest. But here's where it gets complicated. You see, guys don't choose poorly when it comes to things like bad behavior. They won't choose a child's bad behavior over their partner. They'll choose their partner, if they're intelligent, over the child's bad behavior and let that child feel discomfort. Let them get through it and figure it out later on, in most cases. Women, on the other hand, will always choose their child over anything.
They just can't be available for you in the way a woman without a child can be. A woman without a child is not only physically available, but she's also emotionally available. That means she is willing to give herself to you. She is willing to commit to you, and she can fully commit to you. This is something the single mother cannot do, because the single mother is physically unavailable because she often has to work or she has to take care of children, and most importantly, she's emotionally unavailable. And because women are emotional, it is important for a woman to be emotionally available to a man. If she cannot be emotionally available, there is no way she's going to be there for you, because she is not going to be interested in you to meet your needs. You're not going to be the priority. You're not going to be the top priority in her life. You're only going to be maybe the fourth or fifth, because you're going to be behind the kids, you're going to be behind the dog, you're going to be behind the job, you're going to be behind the stopped up sink. You are going to be in the back.
Because you see, this is a key issue. You see, the way mothers and the way fathers educate their children, it's always different, because mothers are there to comfort the child, to soothe them, to tell them that everything will be better. And fathers are there to tell them, this is the way the world works, and it is hard and difficult. And sometimes you run up against rules that are like a brick wall, but those rules stay, and you have to adjust accordingly. Those are the two roles that mothers and fathers occupy in a child's mind, right? But if you are the stepfather or the mother's boyfriend, right, you cannot discipline the child and tell the child this is how the world works and you have to abide by these rules. You can't, you see, because you're not the father.
The reason why a lot of guys don't want to date single mothers, because of the dwelling in the past, constantly talking about baby daddy and what he did. My baby daddy, I used to mess with him, and he never bought me anything. I don't want to make no food for you, because my baby daddy should just sit on his ass and have me make food. Fuck that, I ain't doing that again. It's like, look, I just asked you if you would make a sandwich at your house, but okay. I don't see how this turned into your baby daddy situation. I don't like sleeping with nobody because my baby daddy was still all the covers. Look, I'm not even taking the covers. We connected together. It's hot outside. Stop putting what he did on me. And that's what a lot of dudes have a problem with. They feel like you're getting somebody that's already emotionally damaged by somebody else. And it's like you really don't want to take that. So that's why you have a lot of guys not wanting to deal with women because they feel like they're going to keep dwelling on the past and what the baby daddy did.
All right, and they still believe that they are high-valued women. Now, if you haven't seen my video on the Ask Coach Greg Adams channel, talking about how you lose value based on certain qualities, being a single mother at any age is ultimately one of the worst decisions that you can possibly make. It's a bad decision that you can make for yourself. It's a bad decision that you can make for society and community at large. If you decided to have a child with a man out of wedlock and didn't create a family with that man, or the man ran off because you didn't properly vet him, and then on the back end choose to keep custody away from that man or raise the child on your own, especially if it's a male, you are making a terrible decision. And not only are you going to do that, you're going to go out on the marketplace and expect some man to come after that man and raise that seed as his own? Okay, what right-minded man, let me say that again, what right-minded male wouldn't make that decision?
And a lot of these girls, after the kid is born, of course they say now, like, oh, Yeah, I wouldn't trade him for the world. I wouldn't trade little Joey for the world, even though his father's an asshole. I'm so glad little Joey's here. And it's like, yeah, but you know what? Maybe you would have been a lot happier if you just chose a proper, virtuous man to have sex with, to impregnate you, that would have married you, instead of putting yourself in the position you are now.
At the time, I hear a lot of people saying, like, where's your loyalty? Like, how could you do that? I had no loyalty for Anthony. I really didn't. And again, I wasn't thinking about everybody else in the situation. I was only